Good afternoon, lovely friends. It's Jayashrii with the Finding Freedom podcast. It's a beautiful sunny afternoon and the weather is definitely turning towards spring. So with that, let's dive right into this week's topic. This week, a beautiful listener asked if we might discuss the topic of death and fear of death and impermanence. Thank you so much for this really excellent topic. It's a deep one, and in the West, we avoid it. And it's actually a very sacred aspect that cannot be separated from life. We all have an expiration date, and we're all in the same boat with this. So it's something that is crucial that we come to terms with and understand. There is no birth without death, just like any opposite. We must experience both sides. And what the beauty is that we know that in the world of opposites, whenever we find ourselves in the land of opposites, we know that we're dealing with that which is illusion. It's the crux of all suffering to believe that we are an individual, separate self that needs to compete, that needs to prove itself, that needs to compare and be better, that isn't already good enough. When in fact, we are simply this space in which everything takes place. And when we realize this, all the pressure comes off. And we do not see others as separate from ourselves. We don't think that we need to get somewhere because we're already perfect. We are the present moment. Now, in the world of conditioning, this is completely impossible to understand. And in the world of the mind, which is the same thing essentially. So we must not listen with the mind, but use our intuition and heart to hear this. It's not something that we can try to understand. It's the truth of who we are. Fear is ego. That which is impermanent is not where we want to place our focus because it is impermanent. In other words, we don't want to put our attention on ego and its stories of something is wrong and there's not enough. And what we're really going for is being present for how things are rather than going for some idyllic experience. We are presence, and presence is available in this moment. Always, here, now. It's not off somewhere in the future where some condition takes place that will finally be okay. No, it's now. It's who we are. It's a letting go of all of our identities. This does not mean that we do not play our part in this grand drama. Does not mean that at all. But what it does mean is that in bringing the world of form and the formless together, which is the art of living, stated differently, and bringing spirit and the world of the form or manifestation together, we place priority on the spirit, or the depth of who we are, which is presence, which is where the magic happens, which is where fulfillment is always available. Our true nature is complete and whole and perfect and always fulfilled. The content of our lives is always changing. It's impermanent, and it does not have the capacity to fulfill us. It will always disappoint us. Maybe for the first 2 weeks, our new car is just great. But eventually, the excitement wears off, just like a drug. It's not permanent. It's not fulfilling. The ultimate addiction is to ego and to suffering, because ego is suffering. When we have our attention there, we're trying to please it, which, of course, it has an insatiable appetite, and that never works. So we can just dance around from job to job, from mate to mate, from location to location, from hobby to hobby, from this to that, on some never-ending quest to find that which will never be able to fulfill us. Neither will the never-ending self-improvement programs, because who we are what we seek, and we are already perfect. So what happens is, when we come back to the present moment, instead of constantly leaving it in this false promise of something better in the future, missing our life, when we're coming back to the present of who we are, we come alive, because that's life. The unknowable mystery of the divine, God, peace, love, the formless, that which never changes, that which is never born and never dies. The stillness, the essence that pervades everything. When we come from that magic, no matter where we are, what we're doing, and who we are with, we infuse it with that magic. But if we place our priority on the content of our lives, the who, what, where, without first finding that magic, the presence in self-realization, we will be sorely disappointed. And again, there may be a short-lived high, but it's impermanent. And we'll be disappointed and let down. And we will maybe have moved halfway across the world, or just turned our lives upside down in order to find something that we already had. So it's a very inexpensive, relaxing, easeful, and the only way to live a fulfilling life. It's very simple, and it's very uncomplicated. So we can let go of the ideas that the absurdity that things should be other than they are. And this is entering the surrendered state of consciousness. This is true surrender, and we are aligned with what is. It's not resignation. It's presence, which is beyond the opposites of happiness and sadness, of good and bad and right and wrong, what we're looking for is right here, right now. So we break the habit of running and missing our entire lives in the process. It's a place of gratitude where we slow down, because in this place of stillness, we realize that a great percentage of what we thought was necessary is not necessary, and we are able to then savor the beauty, the infinite beauty of this perfect, beautiful present moment, where there is no fear, because it is very evident that there is no one to be born or to die, and we are rooted in that which never changes, rather than focused on the impermanent world of form. I hope that this is helpful. Please let me know what your thoughts are, and leave your comments below. Feel free to share a topic or question that you'd like to hear on a future podcast. If you liked this, give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend. Subscribe, and as always, I send you love, light, and presence. Namaskar.